So hey guys, so today I'm going to the catacombs in Indianapolis, Indiana. We're going to the catacombs. It's like a tour thing, so yeah, I'm just gonna film a video of it, and it could be haunted. I don't know, but we're gonna find out. So I'll see you on the video.
And this building is not built like 1886. There were some, like in 1830s, they started building some like three-sided ones. So there was some, but most of it is just open air. This is the plan from 1821 for Indianapolis. It is 1 mile square because at the time that's all they thought they'd need. These arrows are pointing to where they designated city markets, this being where we are right here. If you are familiar with Indianapolis, this would have been approximately where a military park is. Okay, obviously a mile square didn't do it, so they had to have more room. Our tour today will be starting in the city market. We'll be going next door. We'll be descending into the catacombs. Hopefully we'll come out with everybody. And then we'll end up over back in the city market. The tour will take exactly 29.7 minutes. So, follow me. 11. I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 11 people. That was built in Germany. It was designed by a German architect who also designed Tomlinson Hall, which unfortunately isn't there. And we'll talk about that more. But I can show you pictures. Okay. That's City Market, Tomlinson Hall. Tomlinson Hall is essentially a convention center. City Market, Tomlinson Hall. Which is going to super intelligent building. Now, right now there are no connecting buildings. I think in like 1903 or something, they built connecting buildings, which have been like where we're standing. And they had a little here. That gave them extra floor. They had the first floor of Tomlinson Hall, first floor of the market. There was no mezzanine yet. And then the wing floor of the vendors. And they still were flowing out to the street. Okay, now, let's get my super secret ninja key on so we can get through this door. Charging across here. Okay, can everybody hear me again? If you can't hear me, well, let me know. Seminars in there and training and just a little short, one here, please. Just kind of an all assortment of training, teaching. Okay, back there, you can step on the rocks. It's probably won't hurt. Just, everybody, you just need to be able to see this picture. Okay, this is Tomlinson Hall. As you can see, it's an incredible building. Okay, the first floor, like I said, was vendors. It's all together it'd be about a 5-story building. But this was all 1 story. It could seat 4,200 theater seats. It had chandeliers, wood paneling. I mean, it had to be just an incredible building. It had Theodore Roosevelt, Wilson, Jesse Owens. I mean, they had all, Eddie Rittenbacker. They had all kinds of famous people over the years were in there. There's some actual photos, as you can see. Even with all these new first floor areas, they were still pouring out into the streets. Now, my wife also does this tour, and her favorite person is this. Anybody have any idea who that is? If you have hundreds of horses in your street, what do you probably need? The pooper scooper. And she always likes to point that out. Okay, we will be descending into the catacombs now, which is actually the basement of Tomlinson Hall. You may borrow a flashlight. It is not that dark inside. Down at the other end, there are some rooms that we ask you not to go in, but they're dark. You can shine your light in there. But other than that, I mean, it's not like you're wandering around in a cave or something. If you don't have a mask, you may take a mask. It is yours to keep. It's like a door prize. So, you can grab your flashlight if you want to, and just follow me into the catacombs. This is Indiana limestone. That's my wife. Move down farther so we don't interfere with her. I've only been doing this for about a month.
Okay.
I mean, you're probably like my 6th or 7th tour.
Oh, wow. You're doing good.
So, if you notice, there are vertical lines in the limestone. That's how they split it. They had, this would have been a big long slab, and they had spikes that would hammer in like every 4 or 5 inches, and then it had little wedges. And they'd hit bang, 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 and then throw it to the other. Each time you'd drive it down, the wedge would split. So eventually, it would split off that piece of limestone. Now this, you can tell, is pretty rough, because this is the basement, essentially. So there was no real reason to make it look nice. You notice that we got barrel vaults, arches all over the place. So that's because it needed a lot of strength. This was the basement, it was holding up to a big 5.5-story building. Okay, the brick, somebody in the last tour noticed the brick is so nice looking. They said, why'd they put some nice looking brick in a basement? Well, I think that's probably just the way they did it. You know, they had artisans and they did a really good job, and they probably considered like this one not that great. It looks really good to us. So we'll move down farther. Windows. This is Delaware Street out here. This is Market Street. And above us would have been Thompson Hall, but actually now it's that plaza that has picnic tables and stuff. Okay, these would never have been at street level. I think they had a sidewalk up there and it had gratings in it. And, you know, like where your high heels fall down in and stuff like that. I hate when that happens. And so that would have let some light in those windows. So that would have been like the only light source down here. Eventually, over the years, as Delaware Street just got layer after layer after layer now, they're totally gone. You can't see them. You'd never know they were there. Okay, this would have been boilers down here, plumbing, anything that you would think of in the basement would have been down here. They would have also used it for storage. Okay, you're probably noticing that it's kind of humid down here. It's not like a cave where it's 60 degrees year long, because when there was a building up there, it would have been cold. But there's no building, so the sun is essentially beating down on the roof of this. That's why it gets pretty uncomfortable down here. But back then, it would have been cooler and probably been a good place. Watch this. Probably been a good place to store your produce. Now these are the rooms that you may shine your light in, but that don't go in. I don't know what sets this off. But yeah, you walk and shine your light in, just don't go in. They use also as a shooting range, which you can tell, it might be part of the reason why they want to wear masks out here. It was, I think, the police, and also, I mean, just anybody. Back in the 30s and 40s, they probably didn't have real great ear protection. So, I mean, I cannot imagine what shooting a gun off down here would do to your hearing. I mean, you wouldn't be able to hear for days. Also, they had YMCA basketball league. The early 1900s, basketball was so new, even in Indiana, that the Indianapolis newspaper had to print the instructions and the rules of how the game worked, because nobody knew what basketball was. It had like four teams of 9 people on a team. Also in like 1911, I think they had a bad flood, and then one year they had a bad winter. The mayor opened it up down here for people who had, you know, their house had been flooded out, or they out of fuel oil or something like that. That, you know, they could come down here and, you know, camp out. So it's been used for quite a few things. You can see where the stalactites, dripping water just like in the cave. This is our electricity. 1886, they one whole lot of electricity in Indianapolis. 2 years later, they started installing it here, but they didn't really trust it. So they still used oil lamps a lot. So, I mean, back then I might not have trusted it either. These are probably pieces of storage. They had, I think in the late 90s, they had a haunted house down here.
Oh, fun.
I'll tell you what's even more perfect is, and I think they're going to do it again this year, but when they have Gen Con, they set up tables for Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, what better place to play Dungeons and Dragons than a place that looks like a dungeon?
Exactly.
So, yeah, that, they probably, I would think, would be setting it up for Gen Con not just started.
Yeah, it's right yesterday.
So I imagine pretty soon they'll be setting it up. They haven't had a haunted house for a while, but I think people are hoping they do it again. In the 70s, there was a vendor from upstairs that thought, it would really be cool, I'm going to set up restaurants and stores and stuff down here. Okay, that would be really cool. But then, the only exit is what we came in. No exits, no restrooms, electricity, no plumbing, no flooring. It would have just been millions, even in 70, it would have been millions and millions of dollars to bring it up. A good background of my viewers. I don't know what the history of that is. I doubt it's very much up, but it makes a big difference. They used to have like 3 old chairs sitting here in like a semicircle. And they moved, I thought they were so neat looking. I mean, there's a kind of surreal. Okay, now, talk about what happened to Thomas. In the early 1900s, up to mid, a lot of people were moving out of the city, out of the suburbs. Tomlinson Hall and the city market were kind of in disuse. They, falling apart. Indiana landmarks did not exist yet to say, hey, let's save stuff, let's preserve things. So I said, parking lot. Everybody loves parking lots. So then in 1958, Tomlinson Hall caught fire. Okay, Chicago had Mrs. O'Leary's cow, right? Supposedly kicked over a lantern and started the Chicago fire. Indianapolis had a pigeon. Okay, first of all, I'll show you.
I wonder if it carried on a cigarette.
Oh, okay, well, while we got light, this is the inside Tomlinson Hall. This is a Civil War reunion. They had the memorial service for General Sherman from the Civil War was here. His body was on a train that stopped at Union Station here in Indianapolis. This isn't his memorial service, but it's a Civil War-oriented get-together, and would probably have been something. This is a conference, so you can see what the size of this building would have just been incredible. Okay, here, top picture is the fire. This is right after it when they're trying to clean things up. They called out 20 units, had reinforcements. It was January, so all of the water that the streets around it just turned into a skating rink.
All right, talk about the pigeon.
Oh, I'm getting to the pigeon.
Oh, I kinda know.
Okay, I just said that to kind of get you thinking pigeon.
Yeah.
Okay, during the fire, a local TV station, I think they're WTHR now, set up a camera on a roof, building roof, with a reporter. And that was the first time that kind of live reporting had ever been done in Indianapolis. Okay, the pigeon. Okay, I said Chicago had Mrs. O'Leary's cow. Indianapolis had this evil pigeon. And the pigeon swooped down, got a burning cigarette, flew over Tomlinson Hall and dropped it. boom! No work on control. Okay, now that was published in a newspaper. I do not know whether they were being facetious or whether that was actually a serious theory. But I think they were just tired of not knowing, and so the paper said, oh, heck with it, we'll just print something. And so that's what they came up with. Okay, adaptive reuse is like the name of the game in preservation. That means we take old buildings and come up with something new. Okay, the catacombs, the thing with the restaurants, it would have been really cool, but it was too much. So they have tours, plus in 1970s, they had the host of a lottery, and they had him chained up between two of these pillars, and had this evil person with these trained rats. This lady came down from Chicago with 15 trained rats, and they were crawling on him. And when they got done doing this rather gross commercial, she was putting her rats away. She had 14 rats, 15 rats, 16 rats, 17 rats. She ended up with like 4 extra rats. So, but the city market swears that there are no more rats. They got rid of them. I've never seen a mouse or a spider or anything down here. So you're probably safe. I still wouldn't wander into any of the dark areas. Okay, let's speak down this way. Okay, we see some more of the really nice brickwork. We don't know why they bricked up these arches, but you can see a definite difference in the quality. This you can tell was done by professional bricklayers. This looks like it was done by me. Another curious thing is this hole. I have no idea what that could be. No one really knows. You would think a hole in a wall would be round or square or rectangle for, a pipe or something like that. A right triangle tipped up. I have no idea. You can take a few minutes, you can take pictures. I will be glad to take your picture. You can stand on the stage, you can stand in front of the cart. If you like haunted things, I have instant haunted thing. That looks really cool in the background of your picture, because it's just like a red blur. So anybody wants to poltergeist in their picture, let me know. So, please don't wander back behind here. That's where all the bones bits are. Anybody want me to take a true picture?